tired of your engines not running properly, losing their tune midway, going lean, getting hot, running poorly, or maybe even making some weird growling noises, you too may be suffering from rusted bearing syndrome. So today, since if you guys watched the maiden voyage on the Cougar, you'll see on the second part of that, about 3 minutes in, the engine actually did die in the air and had a dead stick landing, which in this plane not a big deal. Flown it lots of times, but could cause some people to crash. So what we're going to do today is we're going to tear this 46AX motor down, and we're going to put some boca bearings in it. So I'll get the engine off, and we'll start tearing it down. We'll see what we find. Alright, so I got the motor torn off of here. Just a couple things. We're going to do a light inspection on this first and foremost. I always look inside the piston and that and see what it looks like. It looks really nice in there. It's not all varnished up, and it doesn't appear to have much carbon buildup on the top of the piston, so that's a good thing. So that means we're probably not going to need a piston and sleeve and rebuild the whole motor. The other thing I'm noticing too is look at the rust on right there. Right there. That's all coming out of that front bearing. And you can almost, I don't know if you can hear that or not, but you can hear the little bit of a growl that the motor's making. Especially when it's running. I noticed it almost immediately when I first fired this thing back up. Now this engine did sit on the shelf for a couple of years, not getting used. A little bit at my fault. Is probably a little bit of abuse because it didn't get oiled down either. Now I like to keep a nice clear spot here, and I am going to attempt to do this in one day here. So we'll see how this goes. See if I can get it done before I gotta go to work. I would also like to clean the motor up some. I got this motor secondhand, lightly used a long time ago. I never used it. I pulled it out of the project or the plane that it was in for a different power plant, and it looked like it had sat around for a long time in a damp basement. So I'm not. That's why I'm just going right into rebuilding this too, because it's just. See, that's got an O-ring on it, so that's good. Instead of a gasket. Yeah, that bearing in there, I can always see it that it looks pretty crappy. Let's see if we can get the carb off without too many complaints here. The carb looks alright, but this outer band, I'll probably tear that down later. Yeah, we got more rust in the on the crank there. Dang. I'll fix it later. Yeah, like I said, it looks really good. I mean, that's telling me that this engine, I've pretty much primarily ran this on my one of the fields that I've been using. And it does have quite a bit of use since I did put it into surface. And you can see how clean that is. That means it hasn't been running overly lean, it hasn't been running overly rich, or nothing like that. So the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to remove you got to remove the sleeve before you remove the piston. Don't just grab a hold of this thing with serrated edges on your pliers. I mean, just kind of work this thing a little bit. It's been in there a long time. You don't want to make the sides all jaggy if you can get away with it. So let's see if we can get... Sometimes they just kind of pop out. Sometimes you can come in here and push up. There it goes. It just moved. So this guy here, if you see the little notch there, okay, that's going to correspond with this. Probably barely see it, but there's a little pin in there. There you go. So that's only going to go in one way. Other engines, you might want to go in there and mark the front with a little scratch, like on the top of the... I've done that before. We're going to move it down the bottom dead center. Just reach in there and pull that off, pull the connecting rod off. This doesn't matter too much either, but we want to kind of get it in the same orientation. So I'm just going to put, and I'm not going to do anything to the piston. I'm just going to put it right back in when I'm done. Just going to put a real light scratch on the top there so I know which direction to go in. We could also do something like this where we put it in. We know that's off to the side, that's the front. Okay, next up is getting this guy off. I'm going to do this off camera because sometimes these are a bear, sometimes they're not. Let's just try it real quick, and we'll try a few methods here. And I don't know if this is the first 46AX I've torn down. So let's see, I need a hammer. I might need the torch. I'm going to go ahead and throw the prop nut back on it to protect the threads. And then, I don't know if these vice grips will get around this or not. Probably not. They're probably going to be just a... There it goes. Well, that was easier than I thought it would be. Okay. Get that off. And I'm pretty sure the crank will just come right out the back. This front bearing is toast. I don't know if you can hear how much. I'm not using a lot of force. No, I'm going to... I might need to heat the case up just a touch. And there it goes. Let's check this out. It's got a shim behind it. Do not lose your parts here. See that? That's probably pretty important that be back there. So we'll put that with that. That'll remind us to put that back in before we put that in. And then wood is your friend when hitting these. Goes. Oh, look at that. The bearing didn't come with it. Yay, that's good. These can be a pain to get off sometimes. But holy smokes. Look at the rust. That's from sitting and letting the fuel just sitting there and not using like an after run oil. Which is my fault. I'm pretty bad about doing it. I do try to take care of them. And here we can see, I mean, look at all the rust up there. And look at that inner bearing. It's pretty. Yeah, that one's toast. You can feel the roughness to it. The front one's not so bad. Okay, I gotta go get a few things. I will be right back. So to remove your front and rear bearings, I like to start with the rear one. What you want to do, and this is just to remove it. Do not do this to install them. You want to get a propane torch, okay, and heat along here. And basically, once you get the outer surface hot enough, it'll just fall right out. You won't even have to. You won't have to bend it or get stuff out to you know, bust it out of there. You should just be able to literally tap it up against the workbench. And whoever suggested that I use just the tip of the torch to heat things up with, believe it or not, I never knew that. And that's where all the heat comes from. So basically, go rob your wife's, you know, without her looking, oven in there and get a glove, you know, get a pot holder. I like to use oven gloves, but unfortunately we can't find any of my oven gloves, so I'll have to probably invest in some new ones there. But one misconception about heating things up is people are like, well, I heated it up and I put it in the oven for 350 and everything for an hour. No, it's too much heat. You only want to heat the outside surface, and it only has to get within 20 degrees warmer of the inside. So you don't want to heat the bearing up. You want to just heat the outside of it up. So keep things moving. You know, just like this. Heat everything up as evenly as you can, but you know, you're not going to get it super even because you're using a torch. And that's why I say don't use you know, don't use use this to if I could talk. Use this to install, because you're not going to heat things up very evenly. That's where you put things in the oven and heat the whole case up. I'll show you that here in a bit once we get done with the disassembly here. Let's try that. I mean, you could use a temp gauge to see. See? Like that. It just falls right out. Okay. Now let's start heating the nose up. As you can tell, it did take quite a bit of force to get it to pop out. This guy, though, we're probably going to have to go in there with a screwdriver and release this guy. I've never had much luck. Now be careful, this thing's going to be nice and toasty warm. Sometimes they'll just fall out. We'll try it. But other times you just got to stick a screwdriver down in there, chisel or whatever, and pop it out. Let's see. How do I want to do this? Just need to shock it a little bit. It's not going to budge. I'll grab the screwdriver. We're not going to reuse this. So, there it is. I think, nope, I went past it. It doesn't take, in my opinion. Yeah, it's already starting to move. There it is. Okay, we're going to let this cool down for a little bit. Yeah, look at the rustiness on there. That is just, that's nasty. Come on, focus. Too many things going on at once here. I guarantee you that was our problem. So cleaning this thing up, well, we're going to do a couple things here. So I'm going to just take some brake clean. I'm going to try to get as much rust out of there as I possibly can. You can see all the rust inside the case. Okay, so we're going to do that. I'm going to take some really light, I got some 1200 grit sandpaper over there. I'm going to put a little bit of oil on this and I'm going to polish the crank. Now, a lot of guys say don't do that. I've done it in the past and have had very good luck with cleaning all this up. I don't focus on the counterweight as much as I do right through here. And I'll actually chuck this up in my drill press and spin it. Now, I don't have to worry too much about the conrod here. It'll be fine. And, you know, we'll get some brake clean down in there. And try to, like I said, just try to clean this up best we can, make it look new. The reason why I do the outside, and I don't do it very much, I'm not heavy on it, and I'm using a real light grit, is because this buildup around here, believe it or not, even if you can't feel it, in my opinion, it makes it a lot harder to slide the new bearings in on that. So, a little cleaning on there. Like I said, put it in a drill press, get your little piece, put some oil on it. There you go. So, I'm going to go ahead and do all that. As I said before, this motor is stained. I don't know if you can see that or not. Yeah, like right around in here. Look at all the water spots and stuff that are on it. So, even though the engine's not in that bad a shape, so what I want to experiment with is I'm going to mask all these outside surfaces off, and I'm going to take it over to my other shop, and I'm going to sandblast the other case, because I don't think that's not going to come out with just cooking it in a crock pot. And this motor doesn't have a lot of varnish on it, so I'm going to do that, and we'll see what it looks like when it comes back out. And so let me do all that, and I'll bring it back for reassembly. So we got it's all sandblasted, and it's not perfect, but you know, it's a lot better than the spotty mess we had before. I don't know that I would do it again. It was kind of a pain, but it did come out okay. I mean, it's gonna match the Kougar over here. So, and I went ahead and did the head unit too, but I left the rest of it alone. I'm not gonna do the carb. There's just too many small orifices to worry about that, and plus it's hidden by the canopy. I did chuck that up, and all I did was I just stripped off a piece of 1200 grit wet or dry sandpaper here, and I chucked this up in my drill press real light. You don't want to damage the threads. I tried to get it as much on this part as I could, and I let it spin around, and you can see it polished up super nice. You don't have to, and you don't want to get real aggressive with it. You just want to knock off the rust and give you a fresh, clean start there. So, anyways, next step is going to be heating up the case here. And I did take brake clean and clean the whole inside of the engine too. Got, I would say, 90% of the rust out of it. Looks nice and shiny in there now. So, take your time, one step at a time, and you will be pleased with the results of your efforts. So, I use a pizza oven. See if I got enough room here for it. Not really. I am in desperate need of a clean shop. And it is probably next week after the Fun Fly. You know, you'll probably see this while I'm out there. So if you're out at AMA this weekend or close by, come say hi. I'll be out the Memorial Day impromptu flying. Okay, so we are going to put, I don't remember how to set this thing up. And then I think we need to boil some bake. 350 is usually their standard temp. We'll gotta stay on. There's my eye glove that I was looking for. Put this off to the side. We're gonna let this bad boy warm up. I know you can't hardly see anything what I'm doing here. My bad. Wonder what happened to my little clamp that I had in there. That'll work. Gotta try to keep the door closed on it. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and heat that thing up. The idea here is we'll heat the case up to 350 for about 15 minutes or so, and then we will drop the bearings in. My bearings, I didn't realize it when I ordered them. These are just the economy bearings, nothing fancy. It's $27 for the set from Boca, but they're sealed on both ends. We don't want that. So like I kind of did with the Moki, I'm going to take one side out of the front housing here. I don't remember, did I just do that with a screwdriver? What is he smoking? Oh, already? Okay. We'll stick her in there. Sure now feels like it. And you might have to do that a couple of times depending on how fast you are with your... I'm looking for a screwdriver. I'm going to have all my screwdrivers out. And then I'm going to forget where I put them all. I'm only missing one. It's probably over there somewhere. See if we can get in there with us. I don't really want to hit that with a hammer. This is my good screwdriver set. I think I put that in the wrong spot. That needs to be fixed. Again. Let's see here. Put that one there. Hammer maybe right there. And let's find a screwdriver I don't really care about. That one will work. I thought what I did before was ding it. Anyways, I'll get this figured out and I'll bring it back. Okay, so what I did, and I stabbed myself in the finger in the process, is I took my screwdriver that I don't really care about, about like an angle like that, and I put a hole in it, and I just worked my pick in here and picked it right out. We don't need those. And on the back one, I'm not going to put either one in. On the front one, I'm going to leave the front one sealed. That's the way it was from the factory. And I kind of prefer the front end to be sealed because you don't really need to get the oil in there, and it helps seal up the engine a little better for, you know, getting oil all over the place. Haven't quite got a hole in that yet. That one I did. There it goes. Okay. So I got that. Now we're going to use our screwdriver to put them in. Let's see, I'm right-handed, so I'll put the elbow glove on my left hand to hang on to this. Let's see how it's going. You shouldn't have to force it. It should just go right in. And then you want to make sure she's bottomed out in there. And then you want to try to hit, if you're smacking it, you want to hit the outer race, not the inner. We'll put that back in there for a few minutes. Ugh. The inner one can be a little more tricky because it's so deep down in there, but of course I got it awkward now. I should have found something to fit down in there first. That'll work. Let's get it started. That ain't gonna work either. I might have to stick it back in there for a minute. Getting there. It stopped, so we're going to stick this back in there again. We're not going to go as long because we don't want to heat that bearing up too damn much. One thing I forgot, don't make the same mistake I just did, not have anything to shove it in there with. Looks like it's kind of going in there crooked. Come on, baby. Work with me. I think that was, no, that ain't it yet. Well, it's really stuck. They usually just fall right in. Cold. Well, you get the idea. I'm going to keep working that in. Maybe I'll find something a little different here. And I'm going to let that sit in there for another 5 or 10 minutes and warm back up. I'll bring you back here in a minute. Alright, I got it. That took a little more doing. Sometimes they're frustrating like that, but I ended up going over and getting the socket. I was just completely being an idiot there and not realizing that I didn't have everything, but that sounds way better. And I did end up smacking it quite a few times because it was just off a little bit, and that's what was causing it not to drive in straight. And the crank will tell you if it's off. I mean, it was definitely, you know, not in the best of shape there. So, anyways, time for some reassembly here. As soon as I find everything, after I made a dang mess here, I guess I can shut this off and let that cool off. So we'll start with the piston and stuff here. And I'm going to go ahead and clean this thing up while I'm doing that. And I'll go ahead and put some, I think I have a little bit of transmission fluid around here where I could put some oil. I can oil it up before we go and run it. In my opinion, not completely necessary, but with the way the weather is outside right now, it's probably going to be a day or two before we get it in there. Now the biggest thing here is just to make sure you're nice and careful. If you got to tap things, you tap them nice and easy. They'll fall right together. You know, put the piston down at the bottom dead center. Line up your marks here. This guy's got a little dirty sitting on the bench. I can see some wood shavings. The sleeve, the piston, all that. This is an ABC engine, so it doesn't have a ring. All look in really, really good shape, so I'm literally not going to do anything to these guys. Just going to put them right back in here. As far as any kind of braking procedure, generally speaking, I will run my engines like after a bearing replacement rich for a little bit, a tank or so, just to flush out any crap that might be in there and make them bearings run in real nice. Very, very light taps and she'll go in. Very, very tight tolerances in here. And once you get so far, you're going to have to line the piston up like that. Just like so. We're turned a little bit, so these are these don't have the edges on them, the serrations to grab, so they're a little small, but they're a good tool to have here. So just like that, that's in. We can go ahead and get the head put back on. I do plan on changing the glow plug out in it. And we need these were all 2.5 millimeter Allens. That's right here. I need to fix this. I like these wrenches. I don't remember. I got them at the National Fun Fly a while ago, but the hex heads like to the handles set screw here likes to come loose. I'm very tempted to put a little bit of Loctite on it. That's quite I've done that quite a few times now. So here in a minute, after I get this thing all reassembled and stuff, I'm going to go ahead and tear the carb apart. And we'll clean it up. Sometimes the throttle barrel needs to be cleaned. So, also, don't tighten your head bolts up all at once. I like to just run them down a little bit till it's a little snug, and then I'll do a crisscross pattern to bring it down. And then also, if you're not doing an older engine or whatnot, they might have a head gasket in here. And it's not a bad idea after you run the engine again to go back through and check these head bolts up, make sure they're nice and tight through some heat cycles. There we go. And we already got compression. That's good. Now we'll get, where's our back plate at? I need to clean that up yet. This ain't too bad and not very visible, so I'm not going to go ahead and sandblast this. Okay. Very simple engines to work on, guys. If they're giving you fits and you're new to the new to nitro engines, you might get some help from a local club. You know, to see if you're having what kind of problems you might be having before you go and delve into replacing a bunch of stuff. I know a lot of guys recommend, like with stuck engines, doing a crock pot, you know, 24 hours on low heat with antifreeze in it. That's usually my second or third option. A lot of times when you get stuck engines, they're stuck with caster oil buildup and it gets gummy inside, and if it sits for a long time it can harden. It's just oil, guys. Just you know, grab that motor. I wouldn't do it to a 4-stroke, but 2-stroke I would. Put a prop on if you don't already have one. Grab your heat gun and heat that engine up. Yep. Oh yeah, she's got good pop now. Okay, where did there's that, and then don't forget our washer. And we can clean this guy up a little bit here too. Might take him over to, you want to get rid of any rust that you possibly can that's on your motor on the outside, because if you have a problem in the future, you want to be able to see that it's fresh and not, guess that it's old. That's pretty good. A little bit more there. Okay. Pretty happy with that. I'll line this guy up here. Okay. So, back together. Sounds really good now. We'll change the plug out on it before we run it. Let's dig into this carburetor. Let's see if I can get you guys a little closer here. How's that? Oh. It ain't happy. About as good as it's gonna get. Oh, wrong way. There you go. Stay. Stupid thing. Carburetors are pretty simple. It's just a throttle barrel here. You'll have a some sort of nut on the back side that's going to hold the barrel into the carburetor body. This guy is super simple to work on because it doesn't have a needle valve assembly in it. This is just a throttle body. This has got remote needle on it. Wow, that is tight, 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 tight. Maybe we'll tear it apart and look at it. No, we ain't gonna. I ain't gonna mess that much with it. This engine ran okay. It was sucking air. It had rust chunks probably going through the motor, making it very unhappy. So you could get a it still sells the 46AX, so you could get parts for this if you needed to, like pistons and sleeves and stuff like that. It almost appears to have a bit of a needle valve in there. Interesting. I don't see any reason to really tear it apart other than to show you what I usually do. But, and what that usually is just cleaning the barrel up in here with some sandpaper, getting the rust off of it. It's not that bad. But, yeah. Oh, that's a needle valve, or I've never had one of these cars apart before. So anyways, let's go ahead and throw this thing back on. I think I had this one. You don't need to over tighten these guys. They are prone to stripping out. On the older engines, they're just a set screw and they just go into the bottom. But yeah. Alright, there we go. I'll get this thrown back onto the airplane and change the glow plug out, and it won't be today because it's just too cold and windy and rainy out to get this thing outside and run it. So I'll wait for a warm day, maybe tomorrow morning or something, and when weather ain't so crappy, and we'll get this fired up. Otherwise, we'll get it fired up out at Muncie when we get out there and run it. It's a proven airframe, so I don't really. If I have engine problems with it, it'll be fine. So, anyways, we'll bring it back and show you what the results are here.
to 17, 18.
Okay.
Three.
3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Through there down on the end.
Okay. They landed.
Landing!